Hi, sewing friends. So today I'm so excited to talk to you guys about this because I want to talk to you guys about generational sewing. So I know for a fact that a lot of people in the sewing community either learn from someone in school, like a teacher or a home ec class, or through like a maternal figure, like an aunt or a mother, right? So in particular, I learned to sew when I was 9 years old, and I learned to sew on Christmas Day from a book, right? So there was no one really in my family that learned to sew before me who could then teach me. So I taught myself, right? So having taught myself, it's really interesting to see how other people come into the sewing community because, in particular, during the 2020 COVID lockdowns, a lot of us came into the sewing community through like social media and online courses and as a way of finding a connection and finding a hobby. So it's interesting how we all find our way into this community and how that's kind of happened, essentially. So um, as a lot of people learn from like a mother or a grandmother, it is a generational skill, right? And it is a skill, right? Because it requires so much patience and work to make something. Because what you're also doing is taking something from a 2D state into a 3D state. You know, you have to see shapes and angles and different parts of garments for it all to work. So that is one thing about something that I absolutely love. And it's also very interesting how it's predominantly female orientated. But I guess that's also a side of it, like engineers are mainly male orientated. Females um, are more common in sewing. But I have seen quite a few guys sewing, which is great. Um, so yeah, a lot of us come to it through a maternal connection, and it's often in a hobby kind of way, compared to historically, sewing was actually seen as a way of bartering or a trade. Um, and it was also something that a married woman, could do whilst being a homemaker. So it was something that was kept in the home, and it was like a little extra pocket money that she could earn through sewing and mending, which is something so interesting to me because I also think that that shapes the domestic history of a homemaker, right? Something that she did was seen as a valuable skill, that it could be a way of her to earn money. And then we'll go into the history of sewing and whatnot, because there's this really cool thing I want to tell you guys about pants and bicycles and also pockets. So we'll move on and we'll get back to that in another video. But also with sewing, it also brings family and connection into it because I know, right, for a fact that my dad still has the bucket hat that I made for him 5 years ago. I know he still wears it because I made it for him. I bet you if, he was to get a tear in that hat or something little was to unravel on that hat, he would ask me to repair it rather than throwing it away because there's such a strong emotional connection to it. And that is something that we cannot find in department stores, in shopping malls, in fast fashion, and online, that we crave as humans. So our sewing creates an emotional connection to the person that we give it to, which I think is something so lovely. And it's not only in the actual sewing of it, but it's actually also in the the details that we add to it. So for example, I embroidered my dad's name in the inside brim of his hat. So it's kind of like my signature. It's something that says, this is for you, and I made it. I made it with my hands. I bought the materials, of course, but I didn't go out and buy something and give it to you. I made something and gave it to you. And I think that holds so much more sentimentality and emotional connection that will outlast the initial gift giving. Because every time that he wears it, I would assume, he thinks of me. And it's a little joy that he gets from knowing that he's wearing something that I made. And okay, so this is something I've never talked about on this kind of stuff. So one day when I have my own family, I really want to start this tradition that on Christmas Eve, we all get to open one present, right? And the present that we're all going to open are going to be our family pajamas that I would have made for us every single year. So every year we get a new set of pajamas for the year, and they're all going to match. So, my kids will have the pajamas, but we'd all have the same matching fabric. Kind of like a Von Trapp family moment where, she's made the entire family clothes from the curtains. So that is like my absolute dream that I would want. Like, I cannot wait to do that and come back to this video and be like, she said it there. She said it there. So that is something I know that I would love to do for my family. And that I can do that. I can do that with sewing. I just love that idea that I will one day be able to do that for my family. Also, going back to the hand sewing part, like if you make something for someone, you can add your personal touch to it. It's not necessarily the whole oh, I made this for you, but you can also be like, oh, I know that you like to wear spaghetti straps and not wide straps. Therefore, that this garment is tailored to you. You can make these little alterations through your sewing that is tailored to a person. And so it's kind of like a conversation that you're having through sewing. Another thing that I really love doing, and this is where sewing connects us, right? Because I love Liberty fabric, and I will preach this till the day I die. I fucking love Liberty fabric, right? And I can spot a Liberty fabric. I can see someone and I go, that's a Liberty. Like, that is very good branding. A fabric just by sight. So anytime I see someone with a Liberty fabric, I go, that's a Liberty, isn't it? And they go, yeah? How did you know that? Girl, you have no idea who you're talking to right now. You have no idea who you're talking to, because I fucking love Liberty. And it starts a connection and it starts a story. And where did you get it from? When did you get it? Oh my God, do you know the history behind Liberty? Do you know, the reason that they use that green and not that green is because of this? And I need to check this fact out. And I should have done it before I got filming. But if you work at Liberty for a certain amount of years, you get a fabric named after you. And I love that. So I know that in one of my dresses, I have one called Theo. Now, I'm sure that they name fabrics after people's names anyway, but I just love the fact that there was someone once called Theo who worked at Liberty, and he got that fabric named after him. And it's got a little beaver on it. It's got like an otter and some flowers, and it's really sweet. It's like a woodland creature one. But I know that is a connection. And anytime somebody talks to me about my dress that I wear that's made out of that Liberty fabric, I can go, do you know this fact? I hope it's real, because if it's not, I've been spreading that lie and that rumor all about the sewing community. But also, I think sewing is a great way that we can add our personal touch to our clothes as well, and our sewing. For example, Kylie and the Machine. Kylie and the Machine have like labels, like name labels, like fabric care label tags, things that you can put into your sewing project. And they're fun little quotes like, you can't buy this, which I think is handmade. You know, like all of these little things that you can easily slip into your sewing, that's like your little signature. And then it also makes you treasure the item so much more when you know the person that made it, the story behind it, the process that they went into to make it. And I think you would never throw that item away, never. Just as I know my dad would never throw his bucket hat away because I made it. And this is it. We're going on a rabbit hole here. So, if you make something that is tailored to a person, it's got your connection to it, and you give it to a person, they're going to treasure that thing so much more than anything you could have ever bought. And they're going to repair it, they're going to love it, they're going to wear it, the emotions that they would feel while wearing it, the stories that they would tell people while wearing it, and the care that they would have for that. They would repair it, and they would mend it, and they would take care of it. And that makes it last so much longer. Like, I know for a fact, I've got pieces in my wardrobe that I've had 6-7 years, and they've fallen apart, I've repaired them. They've fallen apart, I've repaired them. They've fallen apart, and I've repaired them. And they're not going anywhere because I fucking love them, you know? And also, I think that creates a personality with our wardrobe, because it's been through so many transitions with us. Speaking of, I am going off tangent. However, wrapping up, sewing is a skill. It is a generational skill that we can pass on to others. And that is what I love so much about it. And there's so many different aspects of it that go into it. I think that finding sewing at such a young age, at 9 years old, was one of the best things that could have ever happened to me, because it's really shaped how I look at things and how I take care of what I wear, and also of what I buy as well, because I don't go out buying like if somebody said to me, oh, I need a new winter coat, and I like them enough, I would offer to sew them one. If they bought the fabric, I would much prefer to sew something for somebody that I loved and cared about than them going and buying it, because I know that they would love it so much more. And if they don't, no more. They're not my friend no more. Okay. Okay. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I do go more into these kind of topics on my blogs, and also I send out an email every Thursday updating you guys about like the topic of the week. So this week was generational sewing. Last week was make, do, and mend. So yeah, like if you are enjoying these and you've gotten to 14 and a half minutes through, please consider subscribing. And so yeah, I can keep these going. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.